So, I just kind of quite enjoyed that past video, and I figured, hey, if somebody watches that one, maybe they'll watch number 2. So, I get in these moods where I just want to kind of discuss the songs and the effect they had on me. The process of writing a tune, what it means to collaborate with somebody. There's a lot of things that I want to talk about that, I really just don't have any ears that will listen to me in day-to-day life, because I think that it's so bizarre because, here I was all these years, and, with the internet, it seems like everybody is taking part in some sort of creative activity. But, it seems like, everybody's writing songs. There's 1,000 songs. There's millions of them. Everybody's writing songs. It seems like there's such an abundance of creativity in the world when you look at it from a certain angle. I've listened to dozens, to hundreds of artists. But then you remind yourself that hundreds in a world of billions really means nothing. And the fact is that in day-to-day life, in day-to-day society, creativity is actually hard to come by. I've never really met anyone else who I felt had the same drive, had the same ambition. Very few people. I've met a few, I've met a few. Some of them are featured on my channel, but these people were like needles in a haystack. And even with these folks, it can be very hard. It can be so depressingly hard to connect with them on the right creative level, because every mind is searching to create something different. Some people, my favorite authors, a lot of the reading I generally do is actually, I like to read articles in newspapers and stuff like that. I think I'm actually really inspired by world events. I also read many very old articles. I think that's really inspiring. To me, the world is like a novel that's unfolding, but that's besides the point. The point I was trying to make is every mind is so different, and it can be so hard to collaborate and come together with other human beings. We see this in every aspect of life. It's like the whole problem of the world is the fact that cooperation is so damn difficult, So that's why music, though, and that's why bands are so special. I mean, we think of Dylan or Mellencamp or Springsteen or, Elvis as, well, they were alone. They were solo artists. But, they actually weren't, because the greatest Elvis recordings, there's a band. Blue Suede Shoes, there is a band behind him. Hound Dog, there's a band behind him. So Elvis presented himself as though he was alone, but in fact he was working with a band. And I think that it's when these minds come together that the greatness is unleashed. We think of someone a tycoon like Bill Gates. He's this computer whiz guy, and he wasn't working alone though. It's weird. We single out these people and we say, well, they did it all. They did it all. It was Roosevelt who fixed the whole country. Whenever Roosevelt was president, I don't remember off the top of my head, but it was him. He fixed it all, the whole country. Under Roosevelt's reign, it was all him. Or, George Bush ruined the whole country. And, it's kind of ridiculous, because the fact is, though, there was many other hundreds of thousands, if millions of people who were working along with them. And when it comes to a band, there's the people in the background who, when you are a lone singer-songwriter, you go, wow, these people were really important to the project. When you're just listening, you don't realize it. You say, wow, that was Jim Morrison's song, man. That was Jim's song. Realize, hey, man, without Ray on that organ, this song does not stand up. It does not stand up. It is like a epic building with absolutely no foundation without Ray's organ. And I think that many singer-songwriters, creative people in general, maybe are missing this aspect. And, I made another video, maybe I didn't post it, I don't remember now, where I discussed how I was initially attracted to songs because it was I thought it was something you could do alone. It was a solitary activity, and I said, well, this will be great, because if I can figure out how to entertain myself when I'm alone. I grew up, I was basically an only child, And it was like, yo, if I can figure out how to entertain myself alone, dude, I'm never going to be bored again. Forget these other kids. Sometimes they don't answer the door. Sometimes they don't answer the phone. I'm going to figure out how I can do something alone here, and I'll never be bored again. And I said, hey, music, when I was a 12-year-old boy, I said, hey, music, you could do this alone. Oh my God, this is going to be great. And then, years later, you realize, hey, music actually is a group activity, and it really does come to life when the group is there. Even the greatest solo artists, again, Springsteen, he has the E Street Band. Well, who is he without the E Street Band? I don't know. I really don't know who he is. Neil Young, he has the people behind him too. Now, do they come out and do the odd, oh, he's coming out, Neil's coming out, he's going to play alone, the acoustic? Do they do that? Yeah, maybe they do that. Maybe they do a tour for 2 years with it. But on their records, always is the band there. And I think that that's really important because it goes back to collaboration, cooperation. I mean, when you think about it now, I look back and I think about Led Zeppelin, or I think about these great rock bands, The Who, the Rolling Stones, Led Zeppelin, the E Street Band, Frank Sinatra and like that friggin' big band that was behind him. I mean, what were the odds, I sometimes say to myself, of these people coming together? How did these people manage to find each other? I don't know how. And it just seems that, I have a lot in my day-to-day life. I sometimes am known, and I'm actually kind of famous for it, for throwing a lot of criticism onto the modern pop culture. And people say, well, what do you care so much for? If all the songs everybody listens to aren't like they were in the 60s, what does it matter? And, if you think the songs aren't as, good as they used to be or something, why is it important if that, you do your thing? And what is, it doesn't matter. But here's the thing, though, it does matter, because back in the 60s, when Hendrix walked out the door and he was looking and he said, hey man, I want to find somebody who's really digging this music, I want to find somebody who's hot for this, those people were there. Now you walk out there and everybody you find it doesn't seem to dig what the next guy digs. Everybody's on this whole different kick now. It's very hard to find common ground with people these days, I think, because of how much media is offered to us, with the internet and all this. It's so hard to find common ground with somebody, and that's the problem. You might find a great bass guitar player, but he only likes to play metal. In my area, metal is particularly popular. You go out in the boonies, they're all playing metal. They don't really play country songs. You go to the city, they're all playing hip-hop, they're all playing rap. They don't want to listen to the acoustic guitar. They think the acoustic guitar, there's all sorts of associations and affiliations that they're going to make with the acoustic guitar. Oh, you play the acoustic guitar, you must be some sort of hick. And, it's like, well, I do play some country songs. I do have a bit of an old hick in me. I like him very much, thank you. But at the same time, the acoustic guitar was used for centuries to play really, quote-unquote, classy, high-class songs. Like some, you got the finger guy, the guys who use the finger-picking thing, and they do some crazy shit, like Green Sleeves, like, all those weird, like, English ballads and everything. And, so it's, music is so... It's so crazy. There's so many different sorts. There's so many ways to go. There's so many streets to walk down that it's really easy for a musician to get lost, especially in this day and age. It's just really easy, man. So, that was kind of what I wanted to elaborate on. I'm trying to think of what I initially started the video about. I really can't remember right now. What was it? I only wish I had somebody here to ask. It's just it goes back to that solitary thing. So it's like. It's just so hard to find somebody else. It can get depressing. It's like other people want wives and a relationship, and they want to, have children. I want to give birth to great songs and, have great bandmates. That's like my thing. It's like, y'all, you're getting married? That's great. That's great. I'm looking for a band here. So it can, and sometimes, when you're looking for the band, you go, oh, screw this. I'll just work alone. I'm not going to get married. Screw it. I'll put it off for a few more years. Because where is this holy, divine one? The band. Where are they? Where are you guys? Because it's like, it's just, that's just the way it is. You look, and you always keep writing. You always keep searching. You always keep sailing. But, that they're out there somewhere, that perfect band. I mean, it happened... for so many great songwriters, so many great singers, man. It happened to so many great writers. Just boom, those bands came together, and it was just like a fusion of epicness, of beauty, divinity, just all coming together as one. And how grateful we really are, even to this day, for some of those great bands that somehow, I don't know how, I'll never understand how, but somehow managed to find each other in the past. The Grateful Dead, the Doors, the Who, the Rolling Stones, the E Street Band, the Ramones, so many bands, man, that we look back on and we say, my God, how the hell did these guys ever find each other? But I don't know how, but thank God they did, because they brought us some great music, man. So, that's just what I wanted to say. Thank you. Grazie.